there was a lot of optimism when Charles assumed the throne after the death of his mother, that his previous obsessions with various woke causes would be discarded, and that he would emulate his mother's great and almost unmatchable reign as the monarch. How do you think he's going? The first thing he had to do was decide to not go to COP27 in Egypt, which is coming up soon.
Well, we don't really know what exactly happened between the King and the Prime Minister. Those matters are supposed to be private and never made public. And yet we had stories which told us precisely what happened. I remember all those stories which told us about the reaction of the royal family to the Australian referendum. And I remember Mark Stein saying, well, if I happened to be having a dinner at which the Queen and Duke were present, and if anybody knew what was their private conversation concerning this, it would have surprised me, because they showed no public reaction to the result of the referendum in Australia. Yet we had reports of the precise comments made by the Prince and the Queen's replies to those, and I doubt whether they would have made those comments in front of anybody. They were obviously fabricated, and a lot about the royal family is fabricated. We don't know what happened in relation to discussions concerning the King going to COP in whatever it's called in Egypt.
COP27 at Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. Well, what's your educated guess, David? You're probably in a better position than most. Do you think Charles wisely decided not to go, or was it Liz Truss that told him not to?
I would have thought that he would have had the sense to realise that he couldn't go as king. It was different in relation to Glasgow, because that was held in the United Kingdom, and the Queen would have been advised by the Prime Minister to go there and perform some public function like opening an international conference in the United Kingdom. That's a different function. But for the King to go, as it were, almost a superdelegate to Egypt would be a ridiculous thing, and I can't imagine Charles, particularly after what he said, both in a comment to the media but also in his official speech. I doubt whether he would seriously contemplate playing that role at one of these conferences.
Well, it's only been a few weeks, but have we had enough time to see how he is going? Have you formed any opinion on how Charles has stepped into the role?
Well, I think apart from that, and as I say, I have strong doubts about the veracity of that, but I do think that he has been performing very well, particularly in relation to his very first speech, which was superb, entirely appropriate, and he conducted himself with great dignity in a moment of great personal sadness, that is, during the mourning period. I think he's performing very well.